A girl runs through the woods at night screaming for help. She steps on broken glass with her bare feet, but doesn't stop running anyway. She almost reaches the road, but a rope grabs her leg, hanging her body from a tree. She struggles to carve the words "Emma alive" on the tree. The scene changes to a couple talking in their car. They're relocating to a different home, which isn't as exciting to Betty, but her man seems to be more hopeful. They decide to rest in a motel on the way. In their room, the couple watch the news, which is about the missing heiress Emma Ward. Betty thinks carving the tree was clever because it gave her a chance. Her man tells her there's always a chance. Afterwards, he asks her to take off her towel, revealing a scar on her belly that he kisses, followed by an apology for everything he caused. Betty just wants to hear that he loves her more than the other woman. He tells her he always did, and the two make love. The Cleavers, a wealthy family, arrive from vacation while thieves are robbing their home. As their car approaches, one of them, Flynn, panics and starts shooting at the father who was driving and calling the cops. He then shoots at the wife before his partner stops him forcefully. They leave Flynn behind and close the operation, calling him messed up. Back at the motel, her man returns from somewhere, and Betty lets him know she's aware of what he's doing but doesn't mention it. He asks her to go out and eat with him. The motel's owner tells them to visit a place called Helen's a few miles away. The couple enter and order wine. Betty's still bitter regarding the other woman. The thieves that stole from the Cleavers earlier that day enter Helen's. Hogue, the leader of the group, is pissed at Flynn's psychopathic behavior, and the others also complain about him being a liability. He tells them he'll make it up to them before Betty and her man grab his attention. He leaves the others to take a leak and sits right in the middle of Betty and her man. The couple played it cool at first, not trying to find any trouble. Flynn pulls on her man's strings though, holding Betty's hand and asking him what he's gonna do about it. Betty calms her man down when she sees him reaching out for a knife. Flynn keeps going before he's interrupted by his friends, who apologize to the couple on his behalf. On their ride back home, her man gets attacked by a motorist, crashing their car to a tree. The motorist is none other than Flynn, who steals their car and brings it to Hogue as compensation for the failed mission earlier that day. He kept the couple hostage at the gas station. Kidnapping tourists doesn't impress Hogue though, and prefers that Flynn leaves his brother Ethan uninvolved with this. Her man wakes up to see his wife tied up across from him. Ethan comes up from behind her holding a sharp knife. Betty starts telling her man that she's made a decision and seeks his forgiveness as Ethan brings the knife close to her neck, telling her to stop talking. She goes on to tell her man that it's been a wonderful experience, but she can't do it anymore. Meanwhile, Flynn thoroughly searches through the car and the objects in it. He finds a small opening, and a girl is revealed struggling inside. Back at the station, Betty self-deletes by forcing the knife near her neck to slit her throat. Her man releases himself from the cuffs and starts hitting Ethan. Seeing Betty dead angers him and he throws Ethan the knife. He still manages to kill him using the handcuff, commenting that they should have used zip ties instead. Back at Hogue's house, the girl they found in the couple's van attacks them and attempts to run away. They stop her and force her inside, where she tells them to call the police before he comes for her like he always does. Hogue demands to know who the guy is, but she claims that he has no name but will kill them all if they don't act soon. They disregard what she says and focus on contacting Ethan instead. Hogue sends two of his partners, Tamara and Denny, when they fail to do so. At the gas station, Denny slips and falls in a pool of blood, which belongs to Ethan. They go on to find Betty's body, which has been decapitated. Hogue's daughter, Amber, is curious about the hostage girl and even asks her father to let her go. He doesn't want to just yet before he makes sure that Ethan's alive. The hostage girl keeps telling him he isn't. He tells her she doesn't know Ethan. She tells him she never will. Amber opens a crime documentary on TV regarding an end-of-the-semester party that ended in the murder of 14 students. Only one of the students was never found, Emma Ward. Emma is the heiress to a publication empire, so there's a $2 million reward for whoever brings Emma back to her family. Flynn is immediately interested as the others worry about the maniac that kidnapped her. Amber tells Emma that they care about her, but she spits on her face in anger, thinking they only want the money. The two partners bring Ethan to Hogue, who's heartbroken by his brother's death. He orders them to put him in the shed and clean the mess, since he's too big for them to dig and bury him. After they leave his body, it suddenly starts moving until Emma's kidnapper is revealed to have been hiding inside Ethan's heavy body. Hogue questions Emma, demanding to know what exactly they're dealing with. She asks about Betty and panics when they tell her she's dead. She attacks Hogan and the others, almost escaping before they hold her at gunpoint. She doesn't care, and almost leaves anyway before she sees her kidnapper covered in blood near the house. She realizes that her best hope is waiting to see him kill them all before returning into the house. The kidnapper bathes in the water and goes to his vehicle for clothes and weapons. Hogue gives the orders to his group, but gets shot with an arrow through his chest the moment he walks out the door. Flynn and Tamara shoot into the dark, but don't hit the man, so they retreat back. Denny panics because he's shot and losing a lot of blood. Tamara isn't leaving without Hogue, but Flynn refuses to go around waiting for the maniac to shoot him. Their van blows while they're debating, and a fire surrounds the house. Emma tells them they're being trapped inside. Flynn reassures her that he's not dying without her. Hogue hangs from the ceiling, hovering over a crushing machine at the man's mercy. He tells him his people will come find him and kill him. Hogue is brought lower to the machine, enough to get a side of his face wounded. The man even shows him his ear in mockery. Hogue tells the man that he can get him the girl, but the man claims he can do that on his own. Hogue assumes that he's a serial killer, but the man says he's a total psychopath who gets off on the satisfaction of getting the job done. Hogue begs for his life, but the man kills him anyway. Back at the house, Amber asks Emma if she wants to kill the man. This gives her a flashback of the time when she was held captive by him in a cage. He tells her of how hostages can't survive if the person who captured her doesn't, followed by a demonstration of how to stop someone who's bleeding uncontrollably from dying. He then stabs himself in the neck to see if she'd save his life. In the living room, Tamara's trying to keep Denny alive for as long as possible. Amber doesn't want to take Tamara's behavior now that her father's dead, which leads into a fight. They're interrupted by a sound at the door. Everyone's too scared to take a peek, so Amber takes the brave step forward. She looks through the door to see a bag hanging. Flynn decides to open the door. Amber spots her father's ring on the bag before Flynn aggressively hits it and chopped up organs fall on the floor, leaving everybody else screaming. Denny tells the others that he can get the Jeep from outside and get them out of there. Amber accompanies him and they get to the car. It doesn't work at first, but Denny fixes it as she keeps telling him to go back to the car with her. He almost does before the man appears from behind him and brutally murders him. Amber leaves the Jeep and runs for her life. The man follows her into the woods and stabs her in the heart. In her last minute, she asks the man why he's doing this to someone innocent, to which he replies that it keeps him fit. Tamara, Flynn, and Emma go to the Jeep and find Denny lying there. Flynn notices that he's alive later on, but tries to finish him off himself. Fortunately, Tamara stops him and they take Denny in the car. Driving away, they hit Amber with the Jeep and finish her off. They dump Denny on the floor of some hospital and drive away. Walking, the man is approached by a group of teens in a car who assume he's been in an accident. They offer to give him a ride, which he gladly takes. Flynn takes Tamara and Emma to the motel, but gets the owner suspicious when he gives the kidnapper man's same credit card for payment. The owner shortly calls the town's sheriff. Inside their room, Tamara takes a shower as Flynn touches Emma inappropriately. He considers doubling the payment for finding her. Before he does anything, she asks to go to the toilet where Tamara offers her a gun to shoot Flynn with. Emma contemplates killing them both, but decides to only kill Flynn instead. Her flashback from the cage returns, and the aftermath of the man slitting his throat is revealed. Emma saves his life, even though the cage wasn't locked, and she would have freed herself. The sheriff knocks on the door and Flynn opens, threatening to kill Emma if she speaks. The sheriff asks for Flynn's identification. Meanwhile, as Tamara's still in the shower, the man enters through the bathroom window and suffocates her from behind. Flynn shoots the sheriff in the eye through the door. He then hurries Emma and Tamara to leave. When she doesn't respond, they check the bathroom to find her almost dead, but Flynn rushes to shoot her from all the panicking. After Flynn and Emma leave, the sheriff's car runs over Flynn, and it's just the man and Emma now. She tries shooting him but finishes her load before she actually gets him. She starts running instead, as he chases after her. She stops at some point to tell him she's done running. He expected her to run into his arms, but she gave him a satisfying beat-up instead. He sees Flynn from behind her holding a shotgun and throws her away, getting shot at her place. He doesn't get hurt though, since he's wearing a vest. Flynn is easily disarmed but puts in a good fight, leading him to put the gun back on the man's face. Except this time, Emma would hit Flynn in the face, saving her kidnapper's life. She claims that she did it so he wouldn't have the honor of killing him. The man tries to convince her that what they have is special. She pulls the trigger anyway, but the gun doesn't shoot. He takes the weapon and stabs her belly, taking out the tracking device he planted in her as a way of setting her free. He then proceeds to kill Flynn, the motel's owner, and even Denny in the hospital, whispering in his ears, "No one lives." News reporters gather outside the hospital as they admit Emma Ward in. The man who kidnapped her walks away smiling. Did this story spook you out? Let us know in the comments below. For more horror movie recaps, subscribe to our channel, and we will see you in the next one. Fear awaits you.